So in the area of Mitchell-Lamas rather than the meetings that you have downtown, it's very difficult for seniors to get there. That's part of the problem. Secondly, when it comes to NYCHA housing, I'm not really aware of what happens, but as a member of a church for a while, I realized there were a lot of stupid rules that were going on. For example, if I wanted a paint job, I had to go downtown. And I realized all of that has to do with money. So I wondered if we can do something serious right now about changing those stupid rules that they have. And I really mean they're very stupid. If I wanted my bulb fixed, I might have to go next door somewhere, as opposed to getting it right away. Thank you very much.
Well, I happen to grow up in housing, and I feel that if you have a well-tenant organization in the projects, and you get together, and you go as a group, and you try to see if, you know, they have meetings, and go as a meeting in a group, and try to see if you can change it, so go to your politician, your city council in your area, to see if they could work with you to change the regulations in housing, you know, because I believe in empowerment, and I believe in group, and the more you have complain about it or in writing, it helps. But only one or two people go, they're not going to listen. But if you get a lot of people in the housing projects complaining about the same thing, they have to listen to you, because they're listening to people, they're listening to a whole group. They're just listening to just one person. And the Mitchell-Lama meetings, if I'm going to give you my card, and if you could tell us that there's a place that we can have a general meeting, because we have it like 4 times a year, and the next one we're going to have now in June 18 is going to be down in Lower Manhattan, because we really don't have a space to hold like 50, 60 people. But if you find a place that we can, I'll bring it to the board, and then we'll talk about it for September, moving on to the future meetings, and we can negotiate. Because we used to have meetings in 125th Street all the time, but we just don't have a place where to have it. That's the biggest problem.
Joanne, under the Blasio right now, they're changing it up in NYCHA. It's called the OpMom, Adam? OpMom? It's an OpMom. So basically what they're doing is they're going to revamp the NYCHA system. What does that mean? What they're going to do is they're going to try to have each NYCHA development under their own management. So instead of calling downtown and having repairs or any complaints done, you go to your management office, which will be located in the facilities that you're right, if it's Jefferson or it's Wagner or it's Johnson, they're going to be there. And what they're also going to do is that they're going to allow you to go online, for those who have access to the internet, and actually put in a request directly to them instead of calling the way it is. So right now, what they're actually trying to do is revamp it by fixing it up and modernizing it.
Before you, let me just address that about NYCHA, New York City Housing, and they don't respond to just the one person who goes down. 2 things. One, Mr. Powell said that you gotta go vote. You gotta go vote. You gotta go vote to get the changes you want. The other thing you need to do is understand, like I said before, if that's happening to you, whatever's happening to you in that building, it's happening to all the other tenants. So it's this thing called a petition. Get out there, get that petition signed, and take it to your elected official. And because you voted and put him in office and he realizes that, or she realizes that, they're gonna go fight for you. But when one person goes, you get stonewalled. But when you go as a group, you go with 30, 40, 50, 60, 150 signatures, it means a difference. They realize they have to address it. In legal terms, it's almost called a class action suit.
Mm-hmm. They got a lot of that.
I would like to address the concern that you had pertaining to the fact that being seniors and difficulty in traveling downtown for Mitchell-Lama meetings. I personally do know that there are churches that have community rooms, they have fellowship halls in the Harlem community that I would be willing to work along with any panel that's a panelist that's sitting here today, especially Mr. Lama, in obtaining space for once a month for a meeting in locations up in Upper Manhattan, Harlem, or in Central Harlem. And that's a commitment I make because I do know the difficulties it is for traveling for seniors. So if Ms. Carmen or Yvette or anyone that want to work with me with that, I'd be willing to host that and have the space provided.
Good afternoon.
And quickly, without putting words in Joanne Henry's mouth, I'm sure 1199 Plaza, right? You guys could have a meeting there?
Yes, I
Yeah.
would like to go along with what you just said, and with Yvette.
Yeah, Esplanade Gardens, 1199
That would make
Plaza,
it
we have
work
enough
better.
places, yeah. Sorry for the interruption, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Brenda Telfair, and I just want to thank you for coming out this afternoon. Thank you for this mailer, because I live all the way over on the west side, and I came out. And I'd just like to apologize for the community for this low turnout. Because as much as is going on in the community and as much as people complain to one another, this place should be filled up with standing room only, a line out the door. I have several issues, but I'm not going to take the time right now to address them all. I would even speak to some of you after this session is done. But I also happen to be an employee in the New York State court system. And I did want to bring to your attention that you have a lot of notices of petition and eviction notice being administered throughout a lot of the communities throughout the city. The other thing that I've experienced as an employee is that the rate that these processes are coming at the tenants and the community residents is excessive. You have a lot of, let me put it this way, there's so many petitions and evictions that they're starting to outpace the filing system in the courts.
Yes.
It's outpacing it so badly that if you have a tenant that comes in to answer a notice of petition or an eviction, we don't even have a file prepared. And that tenant, after waiting on a line, has to wait for someone to set up a file, labels and all, put all the paraphernalia together, pull their petition and all of that. The other thing I wanted to inquire of, what can be done about the blacklist? A lot of people don't know about the blacklist. The blacklist is when anybody, even if you could live in your apartment 40 years, you never had a problem before, and all of a sudden you're given a notice of petition to show up in court, your name goes on a list, which is called a blacklist. And this is circulated, I guess, citywide, statewide. It's like a bureau type of listing. And this is another issue that makes it very difficult for people to relocate or to find new housing. And even if they want to move, they can't move because they're on this blacklist.
You have an enemy.
So that's another thing, and people may not know why. Sometimes, you have other landlords or management companies. So you put in an application, and they're doing a background check or an investigation on you, and they'll call, because I've taken the calls, and they want to know pretty much like a financial clearance. Are there any judgments on file against this person?
Yeah, that's what that basis is.
So something like such as that needs to be addressed, because that's a whole nother situation that's above and beyond the community levels. This is something that's on a government level, whether it's city, state, you understand? So I'd like to see something be addressed to that effect. And the other issues are more tenant education before signing a lease, to comprehend the terms, how to exit a residency, because even if your lease is up, you may want to leave, you may want to have a home somewhere else, you may want to, whatever it is, you get married, like you say, your children need to move out from underneath you. So there should be an exit or a how-to for exiting a residency, and also workshops for how to respond in legal proceedings. I have, again, issues with my position there, assisted people or helped them. They will give you the information, they will give you the documentation, but the employees are not allowed to assist you. But I have helped people as far as showing them the display on the wall, looking at the documentation, and maybe they have to go back and keep coming back and forth to the line. So you need workshops so people can know how to fight these issues, because it's so voracious now that the attorneys that these landlords hire, they're hiring a team or a legal firm, which means you got an army of attorneys to fight, and it's just you and your little one, and you don't know how to put your name on the application and where you should check what box and what have you. So this is a type of warfare where it's like machine guns and tanks against bows and arrows. The people are not equipped to fight this situation, even if they want to stand their ground. They don't know how. And I've seen firsthand a lot of people being evicted needlessly because they didn't answer in time. They have a fear factor because, they see a document, a legal document on the door. They don't want to come down to the courts because they're afraid. They don't know the language. And I'm here to try to encourage people and to get you to understand. Sometimes have it when you're tagged with that type of petition or eviction or legal notice. Sometimes to come down to the court can be your best option. We're not there to punish anybody. The courts are there for the people. The clerks there are there to service you and to help you and to give you the information that you require. If you don't speak the language, there are interpreters that they get to speak your language, to explain to you your rights, your terms, what you're signing, what you're getting into, what you're not privy to, what the consequences can be. So there's still a lot more work to be done. That I go to some meetings and you partner up with other tenants associations, but I see a lot of other things that are not being addressed, and these are the things that need to start at the ground rules level, where you can empower them on other levels. I'll see you after this meeting is done.
Thank you.
Because every break's got bad apples.
Before the panel gets into it, let me just add, piggyback to what she was saying. A lot of people used to come to our office, and Yvette knows that, after it was too late. I mean, furniture on the street. And now you come to me? Now you want me to help you? Furniture's on the street. You already got a default judgment in court. Goodbye. I mean,
You gotta
that's not
remember,
what we used
every
to say,
day's
but
got a
the
bad
bottom line
apple.
is we used to say, why didn't you come to us earlier? And it's exactly what she's saying. As soon as you get any notice, please go somewhere to seek help. Don't wait. As soon as you get any notice on your door, under your door, in your mail, go somewhere and seek help. Because if you come early, you can be helped, and your eviction can be prevented. Like she said, court employees are there to help you. Why? Because a lot of the court employees themselves have faced eviction at some point or another. Hell, some of the judges, when they were younger, had faced eviction at one point or another. They understand. Thank you.
Okay, I have a number of hands, and I think Adam said earlier on that we need to kind of be
That's
direct
when they
with
go to
our
ladies.
questions.
Yeah, I just want to answer her question. They have housing lawyers now for housing court now. They didn't have them before, but they have lawyers for the tenants can go see a lawyer. Before housing court was not representing the tenants, but now the tenants are being represented by a lawyer. Also,
Thank you.
They're being annoyed.
They're not necessarily being represented.
but you can.
They give information.
But they give information, but at least it's they have lawyers there where you can go there.
Information.
But
Information.
Yeah, but-
They're misunderstanding. They figure
the information is,
Information is power.
the information power. Also, we have a tenants and neighbors that they represent rent stabilized, rent control, and Mishawama rentals. And Tenants and Neighbors is located at 255 West 36th Street. And I give you their phone number, and they also can help you with evictions or with any issues that you have to do with the landlord. They're Tenants and Neighbors, and they've been an assistant for 40 years. And they're lawmen, they're now down on 36th Street, and you can call them up and make an appointment and see them. And we have one of our board members is in their board, so if anything, you can call Ms. Rama and we can give you more information.
Yeah, maybe you can tell them where they can go.
Okay, so I have everything that you said in my head. I'm going to go forward to backwards anyway. So if you're going to get evicted, you call 311, you tell them you're getting evicted, or you have a letter. They're going to go and they're going to hook you up with either Legal Aid Society or MFY, Manhattan Families Youth Services or something like that. They're on 25th Street. Okay? You can go to DHCR. All right, they're on 125th Street, 55, or is it the ACP building?
163.
So it's the ACP building, that is the state building. You go to DHCR, I think they're on the 6th floor, something like that. You can ask whatever questions that you want in regards to evictions and where you can go if you can't get a lawyer. Okay, let me say this. 125th Street. Oh, and 106th Street is the Legal Aid Society between 2nd and 3rd Avenue, the Legal Aid Society. So, there's a lot of places where they have tenant meetings. The Legal Aid Society is one place where they can go and they can point you to the right place where you can get some information. Lawyers are hard to come by. You can go to a political office, politician's office, and see if a constituent liaison can do that. I was not a lawyer, but I went, and that's how I learned to help the people and to show the people. Sometimes I would walk to work and somebody, I'm getting evicted. Hello, listen, I'm going to court. So, let me tell you something, and not to brag, we had 100%. Anybody who walked in, they came with their vouchers. I got them back off the streets in their apartment, and it's all about knowing your rights. After this, here today, you need to go home and read your lease.
You gotta repeat that. We prevented every eviction that came to my assembly office.
But we also
100%.
got them in. Yeah. When they were out in the street, we got them in. We got people their succession rights. Somebody died, we got the kid to get the apartment. Parent gave up the apartment, it's like, what? And you got a whole stack of people on your lease? We got the apartment back. I did what it had to be done in order for people not to go in the streets or in the shelter system. Okay? Blacklisted. Let me tell you something. That's something on the down low. You don't want to get blacklisted, make sure you pay your rent. How do you make sure you pay your rent? Make sure you do whatever you need to do your recertification for your vouchers or whatever needs to be done in order for you to keep your rent the way it is. Because there's some people that say, oh, but Section 8 didn't pay their portion. That's not their problem, that's your problem. You need to know that every month Section 8 is paying their portion because you know you paid it. It's not Section 8's problem, it's not their responsibility, it is your responsibility. You go and you look at your receipts, and if you see that there's a balance, you're going to go to management and say, yo, what's up? Why is there a balance? Oh, Section 8 didn't pay their portion. Then you go to Section 8 and you straighten it out. It's not Section 8's problem to straighten your stuff out. If it was clerical, it was clerical, no big deal, but it's your responsibility. I have people that came in and said, oh, Section 8, and what happens? Section 8 goes on the steep tip, and they go in their apartment or in their building to see if it's passing inspection. Then they say, oh, this building is not passing inspection, we're not paying Section 8, you don't even know anything about it. So you make sure that you're on the phone with Section 8 saying, yo, is everything all right? Let me get a receipt, let me get something. Not Section 8, it's your problem.
May I say something here too? That was for 30 years, and me and my job dealt with resolving problems for communities. The thing that's being talked about here today is being an educated consumer. I worked for the city for 30 years, and my job mostly dealt with working between the agencies and the community boards and the district service cabinets, okay? And the community boards, many of them have lawyers that come into their offices once a month to work with people in the community. So your community board is a great resource. When you call 311, be sure to get that operator's name and number and write it down. The date you call, the operator's name, the operator's number. Write down notes as to what the conversation was about and what was the follow-up. Find out approximately when you can expect a resolution. If you don't get a resolution, keep calling back. Keep calling back. As they said, it's your responsibility to take care of you. Keep your receipts, okay? Keep your receipts. And numbers, the petitions, the letters, going to the meetings, talking to your elected officials, and having them help you and having them accountable, all of that's important. You can do it. It's a lot of work, but you can do it. I had a girlfriend years ago, there were 3 of them. They used to sit in their kitchen, and they were the organization in their community. Got a lot of things done, okay? You can do it, but you got to document.
Gotta fight for your home. That's nice.
Good afternoon. I'm a rent control tenant. I live on the west side, in fact, on Adam Clayton Powell Jr. Boulevard. I'm a great admirer of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. because I remember times when his father walked on 125th Street with signs on his back so that people could be working in some of the stores, which Bloomstein's was one store that I worked in years ago because of him. And he was a great congressman. In fact, one congressman who put more laws on the books than any congressman we had. Basically, my question is a legal one, and it's about a statute of limitations I wanted to ask. Because I live in a rent control apartment, and I've been there for 50 years. And I've had my case in court since 2008. And the attorney that I hired, he was successful in winning, in the state Supreme Court. In the case, they appealed it, and we won on that level.
What was your case? What was it about?
It was about rent overcharges.
Oh, okay.
And I wasn't going down to sue anybody for money. I just wanted to know what was my legal rent supposed to be, according to DHCR. And when they looked into it, it turned out that my rent was supposed to be lower than what I had been paying. So when I went to see the attorney, he said, well, he was going to try to change that because they tried to slip something under the rug to, like, bypass what my complaint basically was about violations that were on the books, but the apartment building I live in, the management was just increasing the rent every year. So that went on, and as I said, we won. But right now it's at a standstill because the attorney that I have, he's been in court. I think we have a judge right downtown who's supposed to be on this case, but he's not getting the money. Now, it turns out the attorney I have said, well, because of whatever they did legally wrong, he was going after them for treble damages, which was supposed to be $128,000. They tendered a check for, I think, 2012, 42. So my attorney said, oh, that's not enough. We're not going to settle with that. In the meantime, this is 2016, and I haven't seen a dime. So,
Are you supposed to? I mean, did your lawyer say you're going to get the money back?
he said, yeah, we were entitled to this money, but
The building, so it's the entire building?
No.
No, just me,
No.
just me.
No.
Yeah.
I'll answer your question.
Yeah.
His question is personal. However, I can make it so that it goes for everybody. So you're paying a certain amount of rent, okay? Whether you're living in the place a year, 2 years, 50 years, or 60 years, The word habitability, that means that they're supposed to give you everything that's on the lease, running water, heat, whatever. Everything that you need to sustain life in that apartment. If you're not getting it, you take them to court and you get what they call a rent reduction or rent abatement. All right? So if a landlord can take you to court for the rent that you owe or for the damages that you did in the apartment, you can also take them to court for lack of services. If you live in an apartment building that's supposed to have intercom systems and they don't, you can actually withhold, well, don't withhold your rent. You go to the court and you do what they call an HP action. That is a housing proceeding action. It is free for you. You can actually take your landlord to court and say, I have no intercom. My people's got to stay outside and wait for somebody to walk out in order for them to walk in. Or you have to walk down the stairs, whatever the case may be, whatever you're not getting and whatever you're paying for, you can actually go to court. Do one of two things. You can do it yourself, or you can do a class action and get other people that's having the same problems. And I think if you get more than one person, management will do their job a little bit quicker. Okay? So, you have two things what the gentleman was talking about. You have statute of limitation, which means that if he had an apartment back in the 70s and he was being overcharged, there has to be a statute of limitations. Just like there is a statute of limitation for what they call stale rent. What does that mean? That means that you didn't pay 1 month 10 years ago. And all of a sudden, the landlord is taking you to court for that 1 month. It just slipped your mind. You didn't pay. But the landlord didn't give you any letters saying that you owe that money, right? I know everybody's gone through that at least one time in their life where the landlord said, you owe rent. Then you got to go and start pulling out your bank statements and all this to prove that you paid rent. Or get, let me see, a budget breakdown. Do you remember those budget breakdowns where we have to go and prove that we pay rent? All right, those things you need to keep, or else you're going to have to pay that rent again. So if the landlord does not go and knock on your door and say you owe rent at a certain amount of time, it's called stale rent, which means they can't get it. Just like if they overcharged, you can only get but a certain percentage, and you would have to go to DHCR. DHCR will go and investigate that and put something in the court on your behalf. So you really didn't have to pay a lawyer if you paid a lawyer. But DHCR will do that for you. All you have to do is go over there and tell them when, where, your lease, and they will investigate and see if there's any rent owed to you.
4 years.
All right, we're gonna.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you, panel. I see a few familiar faces here that I know. My name is Renee Harrison. I live on the Upper West Side in Wrangell Houses. So this is a public housing issue. I am a 40-year resident, been on the TA board for 2 tenures. So I see the corruption at its best, firsthand eye contact. The TA president is along with management in their corruption. I question about my stipend money being on a voluntary board. To shut me up, they gave me a $275 check. I took a picture of it before putting it in my checking account. Now the tactic is, we have a new management that just arrived like 6 months ago to my development. She was demoted from 250 Broadway and brought to where I reside. So now she sends me fabricated trumped up charges that there's noise in my unit. My son is 82nd Airborne serving his country. So it's like they feel I'm alone and they're harassing me to the fullest. I just got up in hospital today, outside. I sift through my mail that was in my mailbox for an accumulated of maybe 5 days now, because I went in on Sunday, Mother's Day. I thank you for this literature. I just got up the mail today. That's why I just arrived here late. My question to you is, they brought me down to an administrative hearing, and gets there, they're gonna tell me like I'm incompetent. I need a GAL. So I'm questioning, what is a GAL? They go from there to tell me, oh, I need a lawyer. They're gonna adjourn the day, come back.
We go back May 19th. And if anybody's available Thursday coming May 19th, please stand with me at 250 Broadway on the second floor at 11 a.m. My last name is Harrison. They're trying to defamate my character. They started with noise in my unit, which is not. Then they went from there to I'm an undesirable tenant. And I've been here 40 years. I was always upstanding for 39 years and 6 months. All of a sudden, the last 6 months, I've become undesirable. And I sat on a TA board for 10 years. I brought a pharmacy in my neighborhood. I enhanced my community. I'm very community involved.
It's obvious that they're having a vendetta against you.
Yes, they do. I seen something, I said something, and now they're retaliating against me, trying to intimidate me, and they're blacklisting me.
Right. Besides the places that we told you you can go to seek help from, Miss Rochelle Thompson is there. She said she would help you. Jane Farley, she's a lawyer, sort of like a Quasar panelist here with us today. Jane, raise your hand. Okay, so we will find you help, okay? Hey, sister?
Wait,
Thank you.
Adam. Mommy, what's your name? Renee, wake up.
Wake up.
They can't throw you out. You gotta be a crackhead selling crack on the street before anybody throws anybody out. Okay? So this is the deal. If anybody gets harassed like that by management or any boards of directors, you go and you get an HP action. You don't have to worry about it because in order for them to throw you out, they would have to come and say, police report, they knock on the door, and if they don't have that, don't worry. You're not alone.
I have a trial date for June 26th.
And guess what? When you go there, Miss Harris, and when you go there, you're gonna tell them, I need to adjourn this. Just like that. See how I'm saying it? Mamita, I need to adjourn this. I need to get me a lawyer. That's it. They're not gonna throw you out from one day to another. So please don't be frightened. You're there 40 years, you'll be there 40 more. Okay? Mamita, mira, don't worry about that. You're gonna say, I need to adjourn this. I need to get a lawyer. And you keep doing that until you feel comfortable and you wipe those tears that you can go in front of them and say, what's up? Don't go like that, cry. Don't go like that because you were TA president and you all in the mix and you're not going to let them scare you.
I wasn't the president, I was on the board.
It was on TV.
Look at that, she was on the board so you wouldn't give up the bylaws and all that stuff.
TAs in cahoots.
It's all right, man. It's all right. We're here for you.
It was on TV. The landlords are sending people into their people's apartments, bringing roaches, mice, everything. They want us to move. The neighbors are calling the senior citizens to come to the ambulance and want to make like they got all these kind of bipolar, all things, all the positions, and everybody is good and bad, and every single way.
They ain't gonna kick you out.
Yeah, you're fine.
They're the hell is
I'm kidding.
I'm going to say this to you because
Okay? You have to seek help. Don't just sit at home and drown it. You have to seek help.
Renee, I want to say this to you.
Yeah, but just saying.
Every now and then, something happens for a reason bigger than what we thought it was about. Your opening comment was that you were in duress and you felt that there was no place to turn.
Right.
You opened your mailbox and there was an option for a solution.
Amen.
We are committed to help you. So stop crying, look to the hills. God has answered your call for help.
Thank you for that, Miss Sweetie.
They see you when you come in the door.
Thank you. Okay, you know I see the Baptist Church? I was over there and I taught Sunday school. Okay, now, what I want to say, my name is Prophet Louise Ray, and I have a healing ministry at 1980 Lexington Avenue, Upaka 5 building. Okay, and I'm always praying for the sick people in that building. Now, I know one thing, once you get to the White House, if you be elected, you know, 'cause I worked for the Board of Election for years. And I would tell everybody here,
On election day.
I would tell everybody here, vote on June 28th. You know, and I work for the Board of Election. Vote, somebody vote for me, all right? And I really feel you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be just fine, because I'm afraid for you, okay? God bless you.
I do not want to get anyone to talk about what she said, vote for Adam. She said,
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Rochelle Thompson, and I'm known as the First Lady of Jazz in Harlem, USA, the continent that I love. But I also work with seniors and the children of the community, and that's how I met Adam some 22 years ago. And Adam, through those years, sent support letters. I have been in court since 1992. I've won 2 Supreme Court cases, one in which I wrote my own legal brief because the legal aid attorneys were on strike. I'm still in court. Now this is what I have to tell everybody, and I'm going to support you, Ms. Harris. And I just got this in the mail, that's why I'm so late. But this is what's really going on. Some of the so-called legal help enhancement places that are supposed to help us as tenants get in bed with the landlords, they are not helping us. When we go down to court, there are 10 people against us. When I go to court, I always win. This is the latest. I have paid my, they tried to evict me 12 times. Wow. I've been in front of 26 housing judges, 20 opposing attorneys, Sperber, Denenberg, and Kahan. I think you all know about them. So what I want to say to you is, I have paid my rent by certified mail and paid it on time. I got a petition. I wanted to go across the water to sing for the troops, but I got a petition saying I didn't pay those said rents. I went to court. I proved that I paid the said rents because they had a warrant out for me. And this is what's important. When you check general denial, and then, or you go to court with your receipts and everything, and seniors, everybody, keep your receipts. I don't care if it's 30 years, you keep those receipts because you're going to need them in court. They may say general denial, but they still get a warrant for you. They still get a judgment against you. So that box needs to be changed to not just general denial, but dismissal, because we are in court forever. We are adjourning things forever. We do not have a life. I have to go to the seniors now, and I learned this from Gwen Jones, who are 84. I have to go to court with them. It is that bad, and we need help. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
thank you.
I'm Jane Farley. I'm an attorney. And I do some line of tenant work, so I'm aware of some of the issues that are, some of the questions that have been asked here today. In terms of stale rent, the landlord can only go back, in housing court, they can only go back 6 months. And they can, if they may decide, okay, judge, you can just tell the judge, they can only go back 6 months. Okay. The judge will only go back 6 months. But then he can turn around and go to the regular civil court and do what you call a plenary action and try to get money from you. But it's a contract. This is a lease, it's a contract. You can only go back 6 years. So the person was talking about 10 years, they cannot go back 10 years. Okay, all right, and for the person who's talking about the rental charge, the statute of limitation is 4 years. They can
Compensate that.
right. They can only go back 4 years. You can only go back 4 years.
4
Yeah.
years for us.
And the other thing, all right. Yeah, you are entitled to treble damage once you win your case.
Trauma damage?
Treble, 3 kinds is different. 3 kinds. Now, one more thing. In terms of succession rights, the rental laws of New York have not been changed that much. Your spouse, your children are still entitled to succession rights. as long as they can show that they have been living in the premises with the tenant of record at least 2 years before that tenant departed.
But stop there. I have a question for you about succession rights. Is it the same for Mitchellama, Section 8, for NYCHA?
No.
I'm not sure about the Mitchellama, but it's Section 8, yeah. Succession right is section right.
It's 2 years. You said-
2 years. You have to be sure that you have been living there with your at least 2 years.
Right, if you're an older senior over 62, then it's only 1 year, right? Huh? Right, so for a senior, it's only 1 year on the lease, right?
1 year, yeah.
They can stay.
For NYCHA?
Well, no, I'm just asking.
Succession, yeah.
Succession rights.
And, but what the landlord is trying to make you believe that you don't have succession rights. What's going on these days is that these new investors, they're coming in and they want to make a whole lot of money. So they go in the building and they, look at people who are living in rent control apartments and they send them an eviction notice, notice, and take them to court. I took over a case last year. And this case has been going on from 2013. He grew up in the apartment, he left and as a result, and he came back in 1991. His mother vacated the premises in 2000. And they're trying to throw him out, telling him that he does not have succession rights. And let me tell you something, the judges, and they're all working together with the landlords, okay? You can't prove it, but I've had some situations. He had an attorney representing him, and the attorney gave up all of his defenses, like say, well, I am the son of Mary Ann, I've been living there since 2000. He gave up those defenses. If you give up the defenses, after the man paid him all this money, he gave up all his defenses. So that even the attorneys, they're working with the landlord. And the judge and everybody. And they're trying to fight me, and I told them, I said, if you lose your case, I'm going public, I'm calling the news media.
Hold that thought. So that, in case there are more questions for you from the audience. More questions? Then we go over here.
Can I say something about succession rights? There's different types of housing, like I said, go into different rules. So succession rights in different housing goes differently. NYCHA is 365 plus 1. What does that mean? That means if you live in New York City housing and you're trying to put somebody on the lease, let's say you're going to live with your grandmother and she's like on her last leg. Sorry to say it, but it is what it is. So the thing is that NYCHA management has to recognize you and say that you're temporarily until 365 days plus 1. If that person lives for 2 more days after 1 year, then you get succession rights in New York City housing. In all the other housing, you got to have at least 180 days consecutive to be a resident of that apartment. So if the people can show that they were there consecutively in the apartment, that they can show that they're a resident, and it all depends again on the type of housing. You can't do that in HUD or in Section 8. I can have a boyfriend living with me and I live in HUD for 10 years. I die. He don't get it. Why? Because I never put him on the affidavit. I never reported him. So in order to get succession rights in some of the housing types we live in, we actually have to prove that that person was there. Not the fact that they had a bank account, no. That you actually went and reported their income. In rent stabilized and rent control, if you go and you put somebody's name on the lease, and the landlord don't say nothing, and then you get to sign a couple of leases after that, and you keep putting that person on the lease, you can't fight it. Because when you do a lease, that's a contract. So the landlord signs, you sign, and if you go and you put, your boyfriend or whatever on there, and he does not question it, then guess what? They get succession rights. But just make sure that you keep that lease.
And just to be clear, succession rights, as Yvette pointed out, you have to have that person, whether it be your child or your spouse, your significant other, on the lease, or at least on the income recertification you have to do every year. Because the fact is a lot of folk don't do that because they know their rent will go up. So then, you know, they have their children with them, the children making good money, they have a job, but if they're not on the income, and so your rent, you may be getting away with it, you think, temporarily, but if something happens to you, that person is not going to keep the apartment.
Well, you know, there are things you can do, like I went to the building and I spoke to several tenants. I did a petition, get some tenants to sign. I did got affidavits from people who've been living, they used to live in the building 40 years. And that's
Let me stop this. We're running out of time, so let other people speak and then you can answer their questions.
Okay.
There's a young lady here, up on the, young lady. Oh, okay, sure. Then you. After, then you. Sure.
Yes, I'm going to try to be briefly.
Yes, you have 10 minutes.
Yeah. My first question, first of all, I want to thank you for inviting me, to come to this. It's very, very wonderful for me. I'm learning a lot. I'm completely new about all these programs that is up there about the rent control. But my first question is, I'm a parent of a disabled child who lives here in the neighborhood, and I know that a lot of that the state is under the state facility, and I know that the state is closing a lot of group homes. So I wonder if you have any type of program or some type of education, for the parents with the disabled population, because I know that there are a lot of parents out there in the community who children are getting grown up and the parents is aging out. So they're looking probably, more likely places where they can place their children. My second question is, you mentioned about people who have been living in the apartment, and if the spouse or the wife pass away, then they throw them out. Why they're doing that?
If they're
And
not
why
on
it
the
can be
lease.
prevented? How can it be prevented? Because to me, I think that the rest of the family has the right to continue
You're right.
living.
But first things first. Basic fact is you have to put all those people on the income affidavit, on the lease. You can't just say, oh, I'm not going to put him so my rent won't go up. And then say, oh, but they've been living with me. You can't have one without the other. You can't have your cake and eat it too, as they say. On your first question, I got to put you in touch with Willie Mae Goodman. I'm looking because Joanne Henry, she must have left. She's in touch with Willie Mae Goodman, who has a child disabled. You know her?
I've been with this woman for so many years since my child was born.
There you go. Well, you're in good hands.
And I've been in Albany with you when
Yes, you're in good hands.
I'm, in the neighborhood.
All right, I'll talk to you a little bit after we finish. Yeah, I'll talk to you more after we finish. I've seen you before, yeah. But and after her, Calvin, there's a young lady in the back, President Blackpool.
Good afternoon, everybody. My English is not very good, but I hope that you understand my question.
I understand you, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. My question is, my mother, she lived with me for 12 years. I live in top housing, right? When my mother, she moved with me, her condition is okay. Now my mother, she need a liver transplant. My mother, she's in oxygen 24/7. She need a bed, a hospital bed. She need accommodation. I get my transfer approved from downtown and from the office. And now when I told her, what is the next step I need to do it for getting the apartment? Oh, you need to wait. Call the borough, I'm calling the borough say, oh, you in the list, and the waiting list, you need to wait. My mother, she need a bed. My mother, she need to be in the hospital bed because she don't get a lot of oxygen on her brain. So I told her, I need your help. I need you help me with this problem. Because I don't want to put my mother in a nursing home. I want to take care of my mother. And my mother now, her condition is getting worse. So please, I need your help.
You got it loud and clear. You want a brief answer, please?
Okay, so I've had that before in my office, and let me tell you something. Where do you live? Here in East Harlem?
I live in Taft. Yes.
Okay, you live in Taft. Do you know where Melissa Montevidito's office is?
I don't.
Do you know where Robert Rodriguez's office is?
Across the street.
Okay, it's on 117th Street between Park and Madison. 115, I'm sorry. Oh, across the street from Taft.
Yes.
Do you know where Rango's office is? I know he's out, but guess what? He's gonna earn his money while he's still there. How I used to get people moved out quickly was you need to call and you need to write the chairman of New York City Housing. They need political pressure. If you don't think that works, you're mistaken because it does work. You need to be in their office every single day. You need to have them call, write a letter, okay? Because your situation can be handled. And the only way, because yeah, you're on a waiting list. Trust me, you're on a waiting list. You need political pressure. And that is how you're going to get your mother moved quick, is by doing that.
And if you don't get the political help, you need to tell people in the community. You need to tell people and get them registered to vote.
Yes, I joined, and then he told me the only lawyer that I have it for people have a problem to pay the rent.
What's a lawyer for? You don't need a lawyer.
I went to Melissa Viverito, and the people working for there, that's only he asked me. He told me, oh, it's only for people have a problem to pay the rent. I'm going to Robert Rodriguez, Jason. He said he's gonna call me back. He never called me back.
I know these people.
Yeah.
You need to go there.
And I'm working every day.
Let me talk to you after we finish the forum. You got it. We'll fine. Young lady in the back.
Thank you, and I'm very happy that you're here and that you held this meeting. And it was very educational. My question to you is, I'm leaning towards voting for you, and I remember back in many years ago, I had a problem with a landlord, and you, as an assemblyman, your staff helped me a lot to turn it around. We were being harassed.
Thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate that, but I gotta say something a little political, because I appreciate that, and honestly, 25 years in the city council and city assembly, I run into a lot of people in the neighborhood, people I don't even remember or never even maybe met face to face, but I help them with a letter or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, you helped me. And then they, when I tell them I'm running for Congress, they're like, oh, I'm always voting for you. I always support you. And I tell them, this is not always. This is not always. This is now. This is in 6 weeks, all right? And the clock is ticking. This is not always. This is now.
Yes.
The fact is that, with all due respect to the city council and the state assembly offices that I've held, this ain't, the city council, state assembly. Been there, done that, literally. This is the United States Congress.
Yes.
All right? This is the position that my father wrote the blueprint for social justice and social activism. This is the position that Randall has had for 46 years. We have to be very careful because this is not always been with. This is here and now.
Yes.
6 weeks, we can change the direction. We can change who sits in that office in the Congress.
Well, not only that, but now with the presidential election coming around, we need to make sure that we get as many people in Congress that can help us down the road, because the alternative, if this guy gets elected, that is not good for us. So anybody who wants to elect for a good congressional leader, they have to vote now. We can't sit still.
Correct. We can't sit still. And people who have the commitment, because a lot of people have the experience, the power, but they don't have any commitment. And so those are the politicians that come and go, right? Yeah, you can talk for that. What made my father different is he had the commitment. Power and commitment is a very potent combination. And that's what we need. And you can't, as a candidate for this congressional seat or any other office, you can't say you're committed to affordable housing that we're discussing when you're in the pockets of every landlord, every slumlord in our community. Hello, let's face it. Don't take my word for it, by the way. Go to the website. It's www.fec.gov. FEC stands for Federal Election Commission.gov, obviously for government. www.fec.gov. Check it out for yourselves. Where some of these people are getting the money, every slumlord in this city, some of your own slumlords and landlords that are putting you out, are the ones paying their ticket to Washington, D.C. All right? So what kind of commitment to affordable housing is that? What kind of commitment to our community or against gentrification can there be when they've already allowed their community to be gentrified? Don't come here and gentrify my community. You already did yours, stay there. So, again, you got to be careful about who has the commitment. That's what's important.
Amen. Okay, I think our time is running out.
Our time's running out.
We got a question here, but I want to impose on the panel, because a number of people are asking, would you stay around so that at least they can get your contact information, okay? Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is not a question. This is a presentation. I'm 54 years old.
Brief, brother, please. It's brief. It's
okay. Okay. Don't cut me short, man. I'll stop here and listen to everybody telling me. Okay.
We had an hour for the audience. We had 1 hour.
Let me go, Adam. I'm on the mic. Let me rock. Take that up there. We brought this to you. This to remind people of what we need to do on June 28th. I'm not no political advisor, but make sure you vote for Adam Clay Powell on the 28th. Make sure you vote for Adam Clay Powell on the 28th. Make sure you vote for Adam Clay Powell on the 28th. Let's bring back the good old days of what his daddy did for Harlem. Don't forget what his daddy did for Harlem.
We did have the power once. Let's get it back, people. Let's get it back. Thank you.
Oh, I hope everyone is. I will not be. Hold it 1 second, Adam. What was that? What was that?
Keep right is wrong. All right? Charlie Rangel was in office for so many years, he stole a seat from this man's father. All right? Like I said, I'm 54. Let's represent Harlem and vote for Adam Clay Powell and stop playing.
Thank you. That's it. That's it. We're done. On that note, we can't beat that.
Can't beat that. That was a close. So now the panel will be around for a couple of minutes. I know a lot of them
Be around.
A lot of them ask for their contact information. So
Wants to say closest,
okay, remarks.
Hi, I have the lobby platform that the Michelle Residents Coalition is enforcing, is putting it on the politicians. So I have copies here, so whoever lives in Michelle buildings can come and pick one up so they know what they can support us. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. And again, also, please make sure you sign the sign-up sheet. I know most of you have already. The young lady was carrying around the sign-up sheet. So please make sure you sign it. Thank you. Thank you. Give yourselves a round of applause.